讲。
Is it recording? Okay, it's recording. So, good afternoon, sir. I'm Ying and my group members are Carmen, Choo, and Ying. Now our group will present our game document. First of all, I'm going to talk about is the interface document. The interface of the game has been spread into two different parts, which are non-game interface and on-game interface. In the parts of the non-game interface has the main page, credit page, tutorial page, achievement page, and lastly the setting page. On the other hand, the parts of the interface is the parts of the in-game interface have the character page, item inventory page, and the game environment. First and foremost, I'm going to talk about the non-game interface. The first diagram above on the left shows the main page. The main theme is the father, and the background theme is about a dungeon. There are 6 main buttons, which are new game, save game, settings, achievement, exit, and tutorial placed on the bottom right. Next, in the middle diagram, let's talk about the level section page. The level section page has been divided into 3 modes, which are the easy, normal, and hard. Lastly, the diagram on the right shows the credit page. Credit page is the most important part of all production because it's to show who does the work, and it includes what materials to produce a perfect work. And next, I'm continue to talk about the non-game interface as the tutorial page. The above of the 2 pages is the tutorial pages. Tutorial pages is to show that the tutorial that how in moving and how to teach you and how to play. Next is the setting pages. The setting page is the below left. It shows that every game should have the settings because each of the playable devices you have a different playable resolution. The sounds also must be contained in every game because this can allow every player to adjust their own hearing in the sound settings. And lastly, the diagram on the below right shows the achievement page. The achievement page contains 5 of the achievements, and each of the achievement will be done when the player tries to achieve in the game. The main purpose of having an achievement is for letting the player have a sense of accomplishment. And the last 2 achievements, which are the bad ending and Lyric Soul and Pain, have different storylines. And next, now I'm going to talk about is the in-game interface. In the in-game interface, shows the game environment, in item inventory, and the character pages. The diagram shows on the above left is about the game environment page. The game environment page has many different kinds of objects and items, as well as it shows the player health bar and its defensive bar. The list of the objects has which have potion, and the obstacle is the gray rectangle wall that the player needs to go around to get through the passage. And next, the diagram shows on the above right is the item inventory page. This is the page where the player can carry their own items when they have picked up and things drop from the item or from the enemies or the boss or the boxes. The item also can be purchased from a merchant in a specific room. When the player has purchased anything from a merchant, the player will automatically put it inside the bag. And lastly, I'm going to talk about is the character pages. The character page is that will include the main player's name, the age, and the background. And the other side is about the diagram to show that the character main health, the defense quantity, as well as the weapon he uses. It also shows the players either which is a male character. And now I'm going to pass it to Carmen to talk about the action document.
Alright, thank you, Jiaxuan. So the action document is to introduce the actors, the main character, the NPCs, and also the bosses. The first one here is Kyler. His appearance, he has a strong physique, black eyes, dark brown hair, scars around the body, and has a really sloppy facial features. Kyler is a gunslinger. He is capable of using any firepower that is given to him, and as a gunslinger, Kyler has a sleight of hand which helps him to reload any weapons faster. Next. So the next one is the first non-playable character. He's a neutral. It doesn't means that he doesn't help the bad or he doesn't help the good. He just do what he's supposed to do as his role. So here is the merchant. His name is Leon, and his first appearance in the game is that Kyler will meet him in the third room in the dungeon, and also he is a morbidly skinny, mysterious hooded entity. He sells goods like potions, shields, and weapons, and many more. And the next one is the non-playable character, which are the hostiles. The first hostile is the prison guard. These prison guards are from the Night Detroit Police Department, from the demon jail. In the Night City. They are dangerous and they will attack the player if they are inside. The next one is the demon. It might look little and tiny and timid, but actually it has a really strong weapon. It holds a really strong weapon and could be extremely dangerous towards a player if uh, they let their guard down. So these demons are from the demon jail of hell. They roam around the compound or the map freely and look for enemies or souls to drain. And the next one is the bosses. So the first boss is the flame demon. The flame demon's eyes, they glow like coals and his body is a flame. This flame demon, how he attacks is that he throws blue projectiles like fireballs and casting meteorites. And this mini boss can only be harmed by iron bullets. And the last boss, which is the final boss and the most hazardous enemy, which is Brutus. He's a skeleton king. He's a skeleton-like, and he levitates around the map to wait for um, souls to drain and to set it free from the curse. And the next one is the weapons. The weapons for the main character, Kyler, are the assault rifle and the pistol blast. The assault rifle shoots bullets that pierce through any enemy hostiles and deals tons of damage. And for the pistol blast, it shoots iron bullets, which is very, very helpful when dealing with the flame demon. And the next one is prison guard. The prison guard's weapon, which is the prison guard baton. The prison guards use these batons to charge at the player and just deal damage at them. And for the X25 pistol, this weapon is for the little demons set just now. Like I said, they look timid and small, but their weapons are actually very dangerous and harmful to the players. The bullets in this pistol are made of human souls for a more powerful shot. If the players are not careful, they might lose a bunch of health. And the last one is the final boss weapon, the Reaper's Touch. This is Brutus, which is the final boss weapon, and it inflicts high damage to the player and burns them, causing the player to lose shield points or HP points or health points over time. And I'm gonna pass it to Ying for her level document. Sorry, Jia Shen. Jia Shen is muted.
Oh, I'm so sorry, I'm muted. Okay, now I'm going to talk about is the level document level 1. In the document, in the level document, in the level 1, the concept about the level 1 is the beginning of the game that has a guidance and that it needs to understand and how it plays. In this level, the player is going to have a easy to start with because the player needs to learn how to walk and run through the maze where there are some enemies passing by. It needs to learn how to dodge them and learn how to avoid their sight. And this is the level 1 geography. This is the easiest level map in the party game. It has only 6 blocks and covered in 3 rooms. And this is the challenge and the walkthrough of the level 1 document. In the diagram of the challenge, the player will face 3 enemies, and these 3 enemies will have their own range of field of their sight. Their field of sight is to detect the player present, and if they see the player passes by, they will attack the player. And the right is the diagram of the walkthrough, and the player in this level is need to avoid the enemies and quickly walk through to the end of the pit point. And the pit point is the door to the next level. And now I'm going to pass it back to Carmen.
Alright, thank you, Jia Shen. So in the level document in level 2, the concept is just to the player will meet the merchant Leon. He finds a new gun, which is the pistol blast, and he has to use it for either the flame demon or the final boss. And in the level 2, he has to defeat all the enemies in sight and lastly fight the mini boss, which is the flame demon. Next. Okay, so here is the map for my level 2. It's way bigger and more rooms than the previous level. And next is the first room, which is like that. The player can collect coins and also open up chests. Next is the second room, and the player can collect the shield points and health points and more coins to use it for the merchant later. And the third room is finally the merchant Leon, where you can purchase a shield, more shield, and pick up the new gun, and also purchase the health. In the fourth room comes the enemies. The first enemy, which roams around, and if he sees you, he would start attacking. And the next room is also the same. The next enemy, and this enemy he roams around and it won't attack you if you're inside. It's just if you go close to it, he will sense that an enemy is nearby and start attacking. So the sixth room, which is uh the second last enemy to face, and before proceeding to the sixth room, there will be heavy spikes around, so the player has to be careful. And the second last room is the last enemy. It's a tiny enemy, and the last room, the player has to walk all the way back to the third room and head down and face the mini boss. So challenges faced in this level is that the player has to defeat all enemies first before proceeding to the mini boss, because that way the player will have enough shield and power and experience to fight the mini boss. And this is the walkthrough for the sorry, this is the walkthrough for the level 2. You just have to go from the first room all the way to the 7th room and go back to the 3rd room and head down to the boss level. And I'm gonna pass it back to Ying.
Thank you, Carmen. Now I will present the concept of level 3. Concept of level 3. Yeah, Xuan. Oh, okay. So the concept of level 3 is it is the last level of the game, and the game will more focus on fighting boss and story ending. There will be a boss to fight in the end of the level, and then after fighting the boss, the player can exit the prison door and end the game, and end up the game. So next will be the geography. This is the full map of level 3. Okay. And then next, this is the first room, and it is to collect coin, health, and shelf. And next to it is the second room. Is full of enemy and full of enemy and shop. And then next is the third room. Third room is to buy items from merchants. Fourth room is to fight a little of enemy, and the fifth room is the place to fight the boss. So next were the two major challenges in the game. The first challenge is there will be having full of shop and enemy in second room, and the player needs to avoid the spy and try to attack the enemy. And the second challenge is the player need to fight the boss who is attacking with constant bullets at fifth room. And next is this is the walkthrough of the full map. And there were only one entry and one exit for each room, and will only have one direction to walk, so it can prevent the player get lost in the map. And the player will only need to keep walking down and right. Then there will be reach to the exit door. Next, I will pass through Lim Jiaxuan.
Alright, thank you, Mimi. And now I'm going to present about the gameplay document in level 1. And this is the gameplay level 1 of the full map. And it's the same as the 3 rooms, and the major is to avoid the all enemies. In room 1, the player needs to quickly walk past by the enemy and do not let the enemy see us and us in player in their field of the sight. Walking through the level 1 in the room 1 through the tunnel, so pass through to room 2. Room 2 and room 3 is also the same, but it needed to run by pressing the shift key, and it need to speed up. So if it see the enemy will come and attack you, so in the obstacle, and it can be hide around it, so it do not let the enemy to see their own field of sight. So it quickly run it to the pick point as in shown in the room 3. There's 2 red arrow there, and it walk to the level 2. And now I'm going to pass it to Carmen.
Alright, thank you, Jiaxuan. So this gameplay document for level 2 is that the player has to collect all the items in the first and the second room, like the coins, the chests, and more coins in the second room. So when he reaches the third room, he will have to talk to the merchant and buy the items that he requires, and the merchant will talk to him and give him some wise quotes along his journey. So the next one is for the room, for the fourth room, fifth room, and the sixth and the seventh room. In these 4 rooms, the player has to just defeat all the enemies with the assault rifle, the current gun he's holding, the assault rifle, and defeat all the tiny enemies, and also look out for heavy spikes on the way. After defeating all the enemies, he can pick up the loots that he found, and after that, proceed to the mini boss level. So in the boss level, the flame demon will release projectiles around him and attack the player, which deals a lot of damage to the player, so the player has to be really careful and avoid all the shots. And after defeating the mini boss, the flame demon, the player can proceed to the next level, which is level 3, and I'm gonna pass it to Lomini.
Thank you, Carmen. Now I will present the game document of level 3. So there are 2 gameplay in this level. The slide showing is the first gameplay. So firstly, the player may collect all items in the first room, then break the boxes and go to the second room. The player should fight all the enemy at the second room. And sorry. And then break the boxes and pass through the shop to the third route. Then they can buy health, shift and new gun from chain in this room, the third room. Next, break the boxes and go to the fourth room. Fight all the enemy in this room. Then go to the final room to fight the boss. The boss will attack by using constant bullet, so the player should use the wall to avoid the boss attack. After fighting the boss, exit the door, and end the game. Next, come to the second gameplay. Actually, it is not necessary to collect items and fight all the enemy. So the player can direct walk through first room and second room and go to the third room. The player can buy a new gun for better damage. Then before going to fourth room, the player actually can attack the enemy from third room to fourth room, just like the diagram showing in the slide. Next, the player can enter the fifth room and fight the boss. The player should appropriate use the wall to avoid the boss damage and try to attack the boss from a distance. If the player is not enough health and shield, they can back to the previous room and take the health and shield from chests and jars. So the player will no need to buy any health and shield. After fighting the boss, they can exit the door and game will end. For next topic is option document. Firstly, is the save game. The game will be auto-save after the player pass one level, and when player load the saved game, the game will start at the beginning of each level. Once the game is saved, the file will be saved in player's computer. Next is the victory condition. The player should successfully fight with the boss and exit the door. There will be 2 endings. If player choose be a good person that never hurt anymore, the player will end up with happy ending. Otherwise, if the player choose back to the normal life, the player will brought to the bad ending. Next, we come to the difficulty levels part. There are 3 levels can be choose, which is easy, normal, hard. In easy mode, the enemy will decrease 1.5 times damage and 1 time health value. In normal mode, there are no any increases or decreases and decreasing on damage and health. And it will follow back the original game setting. For hard mode, the enemy will increase 1.5 times damage and increase 2 times the health value. Next slide is the graphic option. So the player can choose high quality, medium, and low quality. The high quality is 1018p. and medium quality is 720p and the low quality is 360p. Also, the player can select window mode or full screen mode for the screen. So the sound option is using volume slider for his settings, so the player can easy to understand and easy to set the setting. And there are 3 things can be set. First is overall, that include all the music, weapon, and character sound. Second is weapon sound, and third is character sound. Lastly is the achievement. They are giving some achievement for player. First is enemy killer, is to kill all the enemy. I am the boss is to kill the boss, and weapon is weapon on is to buy the weapon. Bad ending is to reach the bad ending, and liberate soul and pain to reach the happy ending. And this is all for our presentation. Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, sir.